Alright, welcome back. Before we jump into making the stock market analysis project, I want to show you some basics of web scraping. I will not take a lot of your time, just 15 to 20 minutes we will invest in learning the basics, okay, so that it will be easy for us to build the stock market analysis project. Okay, so to scrape the websites in Python, we often use a library called Beautiful Soup along with request library. Okay, so we have already installed a Beautiful Soup while working on a email tracking project, right? But the request library, we'll have to install it right now. And this is a very simple library. It is used to send the HTTP request to the target URL. All right. And just make sure you already have the Beautiful Soup installed in your project. So you can run pip freeze and make sure whatever which packages are installed. So in my case, Beautiful Soup 4 is already installed, and in my case a request library is also installed. Okay, so if you don't have the request library in your virtual environment, just run pip freeze request. Okay, so like this. Okay, so in my case it is showing me requirement already satisfied. Okay, so make sure these two request and Beautiful Soup 4 is installed in your virtual environment, and then we'll work further on this web scraping basics. Okay, so you know what, the first thing I want to show you is a little bit of basic things to find the headings or how to scrape the images and alternative text and tables. Okay, so there is this website called webscraper.io. webscraper.io. Okay, so this is a free website, and using this website to scrape the data is for free and it is legal as well. And go to the test sites. Okay, so in this test site you can try to fetch the e-commerce site. Okay, so these data you can also scrape, and if you want to scrape some other things as well, you can use this test sites. And the thing that we are interested in is this table playground. Okay, so there is a table and there are some headings and there is this logo as well. Okay, so we can try to scrape this data and fetch it inside our IDE. Okay, so how to do that? Well, I want you to create one test file on the root directory of your project. Okay, so I just don't want to leave this project and create the test file elsewhere, so that's why I'll actually create this file here. Okay, test.py. so this test.py is because we are actually learning the basics of web scraping, right? So that is why. All right, so in this test.py, it is just a simple Python file. Okay, so this is nothing related to Django. Okay, so just a Python file. All right, so first thing, we'll have to import from BS4, import Beautiful Soup. Okay, so from BS4 import Beautiful Soup. Also we need the requests. Okay, import requests. Okay, so these two things you'll have to import, and the target URL you have to specify, because this is to tell Python that to which website we want to send the request and take out the data, right? So in our case, we want to actually go to this URL, right? Copy this URL and put it inside this URL. Okay, so now we have the URL, and let's say I want to send the request to this URL, right? So in short, we actually want all the data of this particular page, right? So that's why we use the request library. Let's say response is equal to requests.get. Okay, request.get, and pass this URL. So when you do this, you will get all the HTML code of this particular page. Okay, so first of all, if you print the response, okay, if you print the response, you'll have to, you will see response code. Okay, so of course, I hope you know the basics of response codes, right? So we have some 404 code, 301 code, 200 code, 50 and 500 and all that, right? So those kind of response code you'll have to see when you print this response. All right. So how to run this test.py now? So it is very simple. It is just say python test.py. Okay, test.py, and make sure your terminal is pointing to this root directory. All right, python test.py, and when you run this, you will see the response 200. Okay, so this 200 is nothing but the OK response, success response. Okay, so what this is saying is I went to this URL and we got all the HTML code of this particular page, right? Now let's say I want to see all the HTML code of this particular page, right? So what you can do is you can actually print response.content. Okay, so this time if you run python test.py, you will see the whole lot of HTML code, right? I think it is not readable because there are /t, /n and all that, right? So this is actually the code that our request library gave us. But you know what? We want to navigate into these codes using Beautiful Soup. Okay, so this is not a clean code now. We want to make this code clean and readable so that our Beautiful Soup can navigate to the proper content of this page. Okay, so that is why we use Beautiful Soup class. Okay, so now let's actually remove this, and let's say soup is equal to Beautiful Soup. Okay, Beautiful Soup, and we will give this response to the Beautiful Soup class, which is response.content. Okay, response.content, and we also need to pass the parser, which is called html.parser, HTML parsers. So what this HTML parser will do is it will take this content and make it readable. Okay, so this is the work of this html.parser. Okay, so this is actually a tool that will make your unreadable HTML content to readable format, so that this Beautiful Soup will be able to read your or navigate to your HTML content. Okay, so I'll show you what this will return is something called soup object. Okay, so now what happens is when you just printed this response.content, you saw this kind of junk HTML code, right? But what happens if I print the soup? Okay, because this soup has this HTML parser, right? So this parser is used to clean up this content, right? Let's save this and let's run it again. Okay, now you can see the code is very clean now. Okay, so you see you can actually read this if you know HTML, right? So it is actually a structured HTML. All right, now let's say, let me go back to this page, and let's say I want to take this h1 tag. I think it is h1 or h2, I guess. Yeah, it is h1, right? And let's see this one. Okay, so this is also h1. Okay, so now let's actually take out all the, or I can say scrape all the headings or h1 tags, right? So let me actually, okay, I'll remove this and let's actually say headings. Headings is equal to, again, inside this soup. Okay, so this soup contains this code, right? So inside this soup, we will navigate using built-in function called find all. Okay, there are multiple inbuilt function. For example, you can use find all next, find all previous, find all I mean there are other things as well, right? So if you use find, you will be able to only fetch one data, but if you use find all, you can take out multiple headings, because right now we have multiple h1s, right? So that's why we'll use find all. So inside this find all, what we'll do is we'll pass the h1, right? Because we want to take out the h1 tags. Okay, so let's say headings 1, because this is a h1, right? Let's print headings 1. Okay, okay, let's run python test.py, and you can see it has given us the list of h1 tags, right? Test sites and table playground. Okay, so because these were two headings with the h1 tags. Now let's see if we can take out this h2, right? So let's say headings 2 is equal to, again, soup dot find all h1, I mean h2. Okay, so let's say print headings 2. Okay, this time let's run python test.py, and you can see we have only one h2 tags. Okay, so we got this data. Okay, we got this data. All right, now what else we can do is we can actually find the images, right? Let's say images is equal to soup dot find all img tag, right? We want the img tag. Okay, let's say print the images now, python test.py, and you can see we got the image element, right? Now let's say we don't want this image element, we are only interested in this source, right? So this is the src attribute. Okay, so we just want this one, okay, the image url only. Now in that case, what you can do is you can actually say print images, okay, images, let's of index 0. Right now we only have one image element, but we don't know how many elements we will have, right? So that's why we just want to tell python that we only want the image source of 0th image, right? So that is 0th index, right? So index 0, and I just want the src, right? Let's see what we get. Okay, you can see I got the src attribute. Now if you want only the alt text, then you can simply say alt, right? Okay, we got this web scraper. All right, this was a basics of scraping, and in the next one we'll actually show you how to work with tables. Okay, because the tables are very important. You often have to deal with the tables, okay, when you use web scraping. Okay, so I'll show you how to navigate to the tables and how to work with tables, and we'll also write the code to fetch all the last names of the table. Okay, so yeah, we'll see all of that in the next video.